What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the Prime Vanguard channel. Today I'm going to be doing a showcase to you on the Aquaforce deck I've been playing with for a while, which is my Cobalt Wave Dragon deck. First off, you guys, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. If you guys enjoy seeing my deck profiles or showcases, please make sure to hit the subscribe button so you guys are notified to my channel whenever I drop more of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you really do enjoy it. Also, don't forget to let me know how you guys feel about my deck in the comment section below, and like this video and share this video with anybody who's thinking about building a Cobalt Wave Dragon deck. Now, Cobalt Wave Dragon is one of the generic Aquaforce support cards that came out in the most recent sets of V-Clan collection, besides Maelstrom and his partner, and I feel like this deck has not gotten any chance to shine at any events or anything. It actually is a really fun deck. The practice and theme of it is very simple. It is a little bit harder to pilot because this deck is focusing more on the exchanging and attacking, so you definitely have to be careful about your waves and the way you attack and your attack patterns. So I will say that this deck is really fun. It's a little bit harder to pilot and it just takes a little bit of practice. All right, you guys, so I know you guys don't want to hear me talk anymore, so let's go ahead and hop right on down to the deck profile. This is the star of the deck, Cobalt Wave Dragon. It has 3 Vanguard effects, but they all come based off its power, which I'll explain to you now. So the first effect is that whenever a rear guard attacks, you stack 5k on it per every attack. And then its second skill is you counterblast 1 and you gain effect based off the amount of power you stacked on it from over attacking. If it's 25k or more, it gets +1 crit. If it's 30k or more, you switch all your units between front and back. And then if it's 35k or more, all units in the front row get +10. Overall, just a really good generic Aquaforce grade 3. Better than Naval Gazer, better than the, what's the other boss monster? The Hydro Hurricane Dragon for generic cards. And it works with every single support that Aquaforce has. That's the irony about this card. Every single card that Aquaforce has, this card works with, because you are exchanging cards, which means that you can literally play the best grade 2s and 3s in this deck, as long as you get to attack with them for 1, 2, 3, and then make its power up go higher. But we have ways of doing that with just 1 to 2 cards in this deck to hit the power threshold without using so many resources to make its attack successful for all of its skills. For my next grade 3, I'm playing 2 copies of Riptide Dragon. So Riptide Dragon, for those of you guys that do not know, is a really big beat stick for Aquaforce. On the 4th wave, it gets 20k or more. And in this deck, that's really important. As you guys see, Cobalt Wave Dragon is the only card that gains a critical on it, and it gains more effects the more you attack. So later on, we're going to want stronger attackers, as it gives them the 10k bonus in the front row. So big cards that gain power when they're in the later attacks is really important for this deck, because the front row that you switch over with are going to be the cards you want to attack with the hardest, since you're going to get essentially a front trigger before you give them all the trigger effects from your other card effects. And then for a little bit of spice in the deck, which is something I don't see a lot of Aquaforce players playing in it, but I'm playing 2 copies of Beragios. Now, if you guys don't know what Beragios is, it's a card that Tetra Drive Dragon uses a lot, but I don't see this deck players really taking advantage of it. I don't know why, but Beragios has the effect of when your Vanguard attacks, that and this unit get +5k power. It is literally, unlike everything else in this deck, a free bonus to your Vanguard, because when your Vanguard attacks and your Vanguard is like at that 32k power threshold, you can now push it up to 37, so it meets all of the requirements. This is one of the few cards in the deck that essentially just give power to the Vanguard directly, so that you don't have to have so many attacks going for it and using more resources to reach what I think is 5 attacks versus the 2 to 3 that you only do for this deck normally to get all the power-up skills. I will say that I do think this is a staple. I think that at least like 2 of it is fine. I found out that more than 2 is kind of clunky, because although it powers itself up to 17k, 17k plus 10 is only good against Excel or Protect, but we need to think about our Force matchups, as Force decks like Prism, Luard, and Jewel Knights are running around in the meta right now, wrecking everything. So that's why the Riptide's in here. This card is just free power and not the big beat stick that Riptide is, hence the reason why we dropped some of it. For my grade 2s, I'm playing 2 copies of Cuteria. Cuteria, this is one of my right options for my grade 2 turns. This card essentially gives you an extra card draw when it's on the Vanguard circle and it's a 3rd battle or more, but its main skill that I really care about is the fact that when it attacks a Vanguard, you'll Soul Blast 1 and give one of your units 5k. So this is another one of those cards that I said will give power directly to your Vanguard. It is between this card and Tier Knight Halpalpos, who will give 10k and an on hit to Cobalt Wave. Halpalpos is +15, this card is +10. The only thing I don't like about Halpalpos is the fact that it retires itself and it already gives more pressure to an attack that has pressure. And the extra draw is nice, but in this deck, you kind of want all your rear guards because you need them to do the exchanging. So therefore, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just keep Cuteria because she's versatile and she stays on board. And that's what I think this deck really needs and kind of lacked of in the beginning when I had my first build of it and I was playtesting, was the fact that I didn't realize how many pieces this deck actually needed. So Cuteria being able to refund herself is really amazing. For my next grade 2 of the deck, and honestly the MVP, is Tier Knight's Valeria. So Tier Knight Valeria is another card introduced to us to Fighters Collection, and she reads the following effects. Her 2 skills are on the rearguard circle. If she battled and it's the fourth attack or more, she gets plus 10k. Her second skill is on the Vanguard or rearguard circle. Depending on if she attacked the 3rd or 4th time, she'll blow up a unit on the 3rd attack, and if it's the 4th battle, she'll draw you a card and still blow something up. The MVP of this deck, because Aquaforce has a lot of power-up cards. They really do. They have a lot of power cards, but they get like really weird power-ups. Like their power-ups aren't like 10k numbers like this. They're 8k, they're 5k, they're 4k, they're plus 3k on second attack. No, we need to make sure that we are hitting big numbers against these force decks so that this way we can keep up with them in the fight. And her being a 10k bonus for Vanguard's already giving plus 10 and then excel 1 or 2 depending on the game that you're playing. Because in this deck you do use both. You essentially easily reach the power thresholds to fight your opponent, making her the MVP. For my next grade 2, I am playing 4 copies of Terrific Coil Dragon. This is a super important card. Between title and this card is actually, I think, better in this deck. It is an engine starter. You use it to attack multiple times. You have 10k to your Vanguard. The second attack, it'll get 5k because you stood it by its own effect. So therefore, if you choose to keep it or not, you are using this to reach more power threshold to your Cobalt Wave Dragon. For my next grade 2, I'm playing 4 copies of Coral Assault. This is a staple in this deck. Well, really a staple in any Aquaforce deck. You use a lot of soul for your skills. You need to draw into pieces, and this card becomes a huge beat stick. Coral Assault, not much else to say about it. Just overall, one of the best Aquaforce units that VPremium has. Now moving on to my grade 1s, my grade 1 lineup is actually really simple. There was not too much to tech with it. We have 4 copies of Blue Wave Soldier Senior Beragios. Beragios is your grade 3 searcher. It is also another power-up card. You can make this one of your attackers depending on if you need to for your Cobalt Wave Dragon exchange turns, or you can have it become a booster, whatever you need it to be depending on the matchup. So this card, solid. It does what it's supposed to do. Next up, we play the card that ended up being the most important card in this deck entirely is Blue Wave Dragon, Propulsion Dragon. When I first built Cobalt Wave Dragon, I really wanted to cut this card. I really wanted to cut this card because I was worried. I wanted to play things like Algos, and I wanted to do the whole ride chain thing with Algos in the grade 1, and I just didn't. I was going to drop this card to like 1 to 2, but this card alone essentially is a 1-card Cobalt Wave Dragon. And to showcase what I mean, I'll go ahead and showcase it now. You'll have these together, right? And this will be behind this. You'll have Propulsion, whether it doesn't matter where it's at, it'll attack. This will attack 5k here, and then Propulsion will use its skill and switch. And now you have a 17k Vanguard who will attack with this. This will make it 25, and this skill will make it plus 5. So this is a 1-card Propulsion Cobalt Wave Dragon because essentially you can attack with your Valegados or not. You can attack with literally anything else, give another 5k, and then swing with this, and then that's where Valegados kicks in. Or either way, you can just have Valegados attack, make this 17, 22, and then attack, it's 30, and then you reach 35. Boom. These 2 cards together just make everything pack off for your skills, and everything else on your board will just start moving around and switching places. Making itself an 8k booster because it does restand when it does do its own exchange first is insane, because it can be a booster for more power for Cobalt Wave Dragon. It could be an attacker if you don't have the best board for Cobalt Wave Dragon. Offensively speaking, this card does everything Cobalt Wave Dragon needs it to do. And I really will say this now, that Cobalt Wave Dragon from the future, this will be a staple until we find a card that does a better exchange. There's a grade 2 that doesn't exchange. There's a grade 3 that will stand a back row unit. If I was playing more Thava support in this deck, the whole build would change, but this card, 1-card Cobalt Wave Dragon, mandatory 4 of in the deck. You can switch out all the other grade 1s. I don't really care, except like you can drop Beragios, you can drop the other grade one I'm going to show you to lower numbers, but for this, please, it's an automatic Cobalt Wave Dragon, so you don't have to use as many resources to reach the power threshold for its skill. For my next grade one, well, my last grade one, I'm playing 3 copies of Battle Siren Narissa. So in this deck, I do use a lot of soul. Cuteria costs a soul blast. Terrific Coil Dragon costs a soul blast. You do have your Coral Salt, but Narissa and Coral Salt, they give you extra soul and they refund themselves. So that this way, if I need more pieces from the deck, or if I need to dig in my deck faster for something, I have multiple ways of doing that. Now for my triggers in this deck, like I said, we need pieces, pieces, pieces. I am playing 4 of the Draw PG and 1 of the Sea Otter Soldier. Letting you guys know now, in the future, the only thing I'll change about my trigger lineup is I'll probably go back to 6 Draw. Like, seeing your pieces is, it's ridiculous. This deck needs a full board. I might even change over and play Dennis, but because I play Narissa, but I don't know. I think that this deck is super reliant on its pieces, and it's one of its biggest strengths and weaknesses. The next thing is you're playing 7 crit. Your units get really big, so you got to make them scary for their attacks to be relevant. Crits versus fronts in this deck, you can play both. Honestly, the offense, like your offense will be ridiculously strong either way, but because we're not glory, I don't feel like fronts are as relevant. So I'm gonna stick with my crits. If anything, like I said, one of these crits is probably gonna turn into a draw. So just imagine me playing 6 crit, 6 draw. Because again, you need pieces. I know I keep saying that, but like I can't keep telling you guys, you need pieces, pieces, pieces. 4 of this because Aquaforce can rush people, but it cannot handle being rushed back. And you don't want to be damaged denied on your Cobalt Wave Dragon turn because it really does suck. So 4 of these so that you can survive anything and get yourself damaged. You start Cobalt Wave because, like I said, you can rush, but you can't handle being rushed back. And then for starter, my favorite starter of all time, Officer Cadet Eric. All the other ones are trash. Well, that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on my Aquaforce deck profile for a Cobalt Wave Dragon. Like I said before, I already told you everything you gotta do. If you enjoy these stuff, go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, share. And then I'm gonna do a showcase for this deck profile, such as I do with my Polaris deck and Lyricure, so that you guys can see my mentality when playing my Cobalt Wave Dragon. I will leave the deck description profile below in case you guys see that video first before this. But just make sure to go ahead and check that out for my next video. Stay tuned, you guys. I got more content coming. Peace, y'all.